going on, Jerome's beautiful Tuesday? It's time for another Vikings news dump, and I don't know. I don't know if the feeling has set in. It's been only 5 days, but the Vikings have a young, homegrown, number 10 overall, future franchise quarterback, and what's great about it is they didn't mortgage the future. They didn't give up 3 first-round picks. There's adults in the room to coach him, Josh McCown and Kevin O'Connell, and there's a plan. And he's surrounded by tons of talent. And also the kid seems to have a great work ethic. He seems to be not an a-hole, which is also kind of nice. And also all he does is win. And I understand, people discount that. Well, look at how talented he had around Michigan. But he found ways to win, and also he wasn't a negative and caused his team to lose. You can't say that about every single quarterback out there. And also, game managers for Michigan have won Super Bowls before. No big deal. As we pointed out, Brady was basically Brock Purdy the first 3 Super Bowl wins. People don't want to talk about that. Anyways, but the feeling of having JJ McCarthy in the building, it gives you hope. It gives you a sense that there's a plan. It gives you a sense that, hey, this is what Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell set out to do 3 years ago. And they wanted to tear it down and rebuild. It took 3 years, and now they're here. And yes, ownership would not have stood for just a complete shatting of themselves. Tickets are important. Attention is important. I fully get that. At the end of the day, the business is the business. But the Vikings have had a complete 180 from the 2021 season, and I'm here for it, man. It's almost like, hey, so we're a couple weeks away from the Vikings locking up Jefferson long-term, highest paid receiver in NFL history, maybe the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Do it. But JJ wants to be here. Anthony Edwards wants to be here. We are mere weeks away from the future face of the NBA in Anthony Edwards and the future face of the NFL in Justin friggin' Jefferson wanting to be here in the great state of Minnesota. Woo, woo. And the Twins are winning with a sausage. It's beautiful. It's beautiful Minnesota sports times. How can this go wrong? Something that went right is the Vikings made the obvious choice, picking up Christian Darrisaw's 5th-year option for the 2025 season, and Darrisaw first-round pick in 2021 out of Virginia Tech. Now, he has shown flashes where he can be one of the most premier left tackles in the game. Durability has been a question, so hopefully he stays fully healthy this year. And he is eligible for a long-term deal, but I'll cross that bridge when we get there. And as of right, meow. So Darrisaw's 5th-year option is estimated at $16.037 million. That'll put the Vikings still at around $105 million in cap space. Now, that doesn't count Justin Jefferson on the books as he plays out his 5th-year option, but it will. And also it does give the Vikings flexibility if they want to front load that deal, because that's what's great about the salary cap. So the money that you pay, you have to count every single dollar at some point. Now, you could take it early, you could take it late, you could take it whatever. And with the Vikings having a very young team, you could cash flow this thing with Jefferson, where they take the bulk of the big cap hits early, so when it comes time to pay other guys down the line, whether it's Addison, whether it's McCarthy, whether it's Ivan Pace Jr., looking down the line, you already have that cap space. So you don't have big cap numbers where you have a decision. Do you cut or trade Jefferson, which would never happen, or do you go without at certain other spots? So I think that's what's beautiful about Kwesi. And plus, they can be big-time players in free agency in 2025 as well. And that would make sense since the Vikings are bereft of draft picks heading into 2025. Something that they're not bereft of is seats in the quarterback room. So Vikes fan page posed this question. A lot of people have been wondering what's going to happen now that the Vikings do have free agent Sam Darnold as well as draft pick quarterback of the future JJ McCarthy in the building. You got Darnold, McCarthy, Jaron Hall, last year's 5th-round pick out of BYU, the Mormon Missile, as well as Nick Mullins, who, Mullins isn't old. So Mullins is 28, going on 29. Sam Darnold is 26. Jaron Hall is slightly younger than Sam Darnold. So this is always fun. So Daniil was always a frame of reference when it comes to the players and age, because Daniil came into the league at 20 years young. But Jaron Hall came in on the other side of the spectrum, very old, right? So Jaron Hall is 4 years, 9 months, and 27 days older than JJ McCarthy, and he's only played one more year of NFL football. It's so weird. It's so weird. But Who's going to be the odd man out? I think they hang on to all four. Because there's been a modification with the emergency third quarterback rule. So it used to be that the third quarterback on game day, the emergency third QB, had to be on the 53-man roster. That's no more. Now he can be on the practice squad. So I think the Vikings will do the game where they'll have Darnold and McCarthy on the 53. I think they'll have Jaren Hall and Nick Mullins on the practice squad. They'll have various game day elevations for the emergency third quarterback. And I think that they'll protect one, maybe even both of them, since you can protect a number of players on the practice squad. And so last year, knocking on all the wood, the Vikings saw the value of quarterback depth. In fact, the entire league saw the value of quarterback depth. And I would like to hang on to all four of them because, Darnold is probably going to be the starter. McCarthy is obviously the future. Nick Mullins, like I said, Nick Mullins is not old. And also, Nick Mullins does not cost a lot. And Nick Mullins operated the offense last year very well. He made some very stupid mistakes at times, but he's the senior man in the clubhouse who's had the most time with Kevin O'Connell. That has a lot of value. And Jaren Hall, is Jaren Hall going to develop into the future? Probably not. But could he develop into a solid backup and maybe even take over the reins down the line for Nick Mullins as the backup to JJ McCarthy? Yes, I think that's possible. And also, if that happens, that's huge value for a fifth-round pick. Because, it could be a spot where, hey, Sam Darnold, maybe he plays well and he gets paid somewhere else, and then the Vikings get some nice compensatory picks, or they franchise tag him and then they trade him next offseason. They have the cap flexibility to do that. And then maybe it's McCarthy, Hall, and Mullins. And continuity and experience with the offense and with Kevin O'Connell, that can only lead to more success. And again, knocking on all the wood, hopefully it doesn't come to Jaren Hall or Nick Mullins taking the field, but if they do, it's nice that they do have experience. So keep all four of them. There you go. Next, so Dallas Turner, number 17 overall. So he is going to be wearing number 15. That's been confirmed. But our guy Eli Corbett has absolutely been on one in the art department. So that's looking good. Although 99 for an edge rusher in purple, it'll never work. But as of right meow, so entertainment purposes only. If you want to put down a couple jelly beans, the current NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year odds, I believe this is from DraftKings. So Dallas Turner is the leader in the clubhouse. Now, shortest odds means potentially, most likely, plus 500. So you're getting 5-1 on your cash, followed by Latu, Verse, Quinion Mitchell, Terran Arnold. Now, generally, Defensive Player of the Year, it goes like whoever gets the most sacks or whoever gets the most interceptions. That's basically what it comes down to. But Turner might win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he might only play around 400 snaps because I truly believe that until Turner puts on some size, I think that he'll be a rotational pass rush guy, which is perfectly fine. So you have Gernard, you have Van Ginkel, you have Jihad Ward, you have Patrick Jones second. You have a lot of guys who can take up a lot of snaps on the edge, and I'm sure there'll be NASCAR packages where there'll be 3-4 of the edge rushers on the field at the same time. Flores likes to get really creative, generating heat, but Turner might play 400, 450 snaps and get 12 sacks. That's what's going to be beautiful, man. And also, of course, his teammate, Mr. Anderson, won Defensive Rookie of the Year last year as the Texans went back-to-back Offensive Rookie of the Year with Stroud and Defensive Rookie of the Year with Anderson. So Vikes fan page put this out. Vikes have been in touch with free agent wide receiver Tyler Boyd, and negotiations are ongoing per Vikes Central. Now, I haven't seen this pop up for many of the beat writers, so take everything with a grain of salt. But this would make sense since Tyler Boyd is just out there chilling. He is a veteran, and the Vikings, they didn't add a receiver in the draft or anyone of note in as an undrafted free agent. Now, they could rise up and be something, but as someone who's going to step in immediately as wide receiver 3, not really there. Now, I like Brandon Powell a lot, but is he better suited as a more gadgety wide receiver 4? Sure. And Tyler Boyd, Tyler Boyd has been rock solid for 8 seasons in the NFL. So came in the pride of Pitt, second rounder in 2016. By the Bengals, former teammate of Brian O'Neill with the Pitt Panthers, 6'2", 203, 29 years young, and he's super savvy. He's a great leader, team captain with the Bengals, and I think that he would bring a lot to a very young team and a very young receiver room, and I think that him operating from the slot when you got Addison and Jefferson outside doing their thing, I think that would have a ton of value, and if and when the price is right, Go ahead and go do it, as well as the compensatory pick window closed too, so you can sign them no muss, no fuss. So that probably wouldn't impact the third that the Vikings are in line for due to Kirk Cousins. Lastly, actually, no, two things go. So, of course, this is what stings. So it'd be one thing if your team was just poopy all the time, right? But the Vikings, they get your hopes up and then crush like a grape. So I forget who put this together, but how often each NFL team has made the playoffs. Now, this goes all the way back to 1933, so some of the numbers are skewed since it's not Super Bowl era, but percentage of total seasons that the team has made the playoffs. So the top eight teams, 7 of them have won Super Bowls. So the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, as well as the Colts have all made the playoffs or have all won the Super Bowl. The Vikings are third. So the Vikings make the playoffs 48% of the time, third best in NFL history amongst all the franchises. And also, you forget how bad the Patriots were. The fact that they're only at 43% during the Belichick run. Also, the Seahawks are very poor. And then you had the Pete Carroll run. I mean, the Chiefs were very poopy as well. I mean, you had that early run with stupid Len Dawson and a stupid face, sipping on a Fresca and smoking a heater at halftime. Come on, man. But they've rebounded under Andy Reid and Mahomes, certainly. But like we said, it is pre-Super Bowl era included, so that's why the Browns are 39%. The Packers are 39% because, I mean, the Packers had some very lean years in the 70s and 80s. But, of course, back in the day, hey, we won the World NFL Championship when there were 6 teams, and one of them was in Canton. It's ridiculous, man. But at the bottom, so you got the Jets at 23%. I mean, the Jets won a Super Bowl. I feel like Super Bowl 3 shouldn't count. I don't know why. I don't have any rationale. I just said so. The Cardinals are at 12%. I mean, the Cardinals have had some very dry spells, pun intended, with the desert. The Lions at 20%. So of the teams at the bottom, all right, so the bottom, bottom 14. So the Eagles have 1 Super Bowl, allegedly. The Bears have 1. Bucks have 2. Bengals, none. Washington has 3, except that was way back in the day. Although, so Joe Gibbs doesn't get enough credit. He won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. It's outstanding. That's insane, man. And he's an offensive-minded guy, too. So, you know, the fact that he ran his offense with 3 different quarterbacks and 3 completely different styles of offense, I mean, that big-time respect to Joe Gibbs. Also, hell of a racing owner. Panthers, Saints. I do not recognize the Saints' 2009 Super Bowl. That's all. But, again, it just hurts. It just hurts, doesn't it? Plus, also, you think about legacy teams. I mean, the Raiders, 35%. I mean, the Raiders have had some very down years. But, I mean, some of these teams, they go through hot streaks and cold streaks. But the Vikings have been consistently just good enough for so many years, and that hurts. That hurts. Lastly, so this sort of went viral on the social medias of from What's for Dinner. You can only add 2 things. You got a plate full of hot dogs, right? So summer is around the corner. Actually, summer's here-ish. So you know, the question is, what do you put on a hot dog, right? So for me personally, mustard and onions. And that's mustard, onions, or mustard, kraut, and onions. Basically, just treat the hot dog like a brat. Now, I'm not a topping snob. Like, this is America. You can do whatever the hell you want. So ketchup on hot dog, yes, absolutely. A pineapple on pizza, you do you. So like, I feel like Chicago gets a little bit carried away. It's like, oh, what Dick says that you got to have the mustard, and then the neon relish, and then the hot peppers, and then the giardia, and then the tomato for some reason, and then blah, 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 blah. But no ketchup. Yeah, you can literally put everything underneath the sun, but no ketchup. That's where Chicago draws the line. Nah. But, so hot dogs are a couple things here. Hot dogs are beautiful, even though don't really look into how they're made. But in terms of preparation, so grill is obviously a great option. But also, so we got Blackstone a couple years ago, and I just feel like a hot dog cart guy. Now boiled in hot dog water, I mean, you know, that's a whole thing too. But griddled is the way to go. And also, if you get the legit hot dogs from Von Hansen's, and then you get like you get them sizzling, you get some color on them, you get a nice little char on them, and also you get it to where the skin gets all crispy and stuff and snaps open. Come on, man. Come on, man. So shovel some glizzies. Summer's here. And put whatever the hell you want on them. But also have them preferably with a cold beverage. Or 6. So there you go. But yeah, don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't put on your hot dog. This is America. This is America. Do whatever the hell you want. That's all. Put pineapple on your hot dog. Actually, no, don't do that. Anyways, that's it. You guys are the best. You know what to do on this beautiful Tuesday. Skol, production value.